Welcome to Quilting Inside and Out, where you get the scoop on the world of quilting. I'm your host, Rick J., and I bring you again the quilt artist Julie Rush from Eldon, Missouri, who joins us today to share her life as a quilter and a very well-known quilt artist. So join me. You've got it right here at Quilting Inside and Out. Well, please join me in welcoming my guest, Julie Rush from Eldon, Missouri. It's great to have you back with us here on Quilting Inside and Out, Julie. It's a lot has taken place since you were on the show a few years ago.
Oh, really?
So a lot of territory has been covered since then, I'm sure, and I've watched your art, your quilting art, your fabric art, and you've been with me on the show all the years with the Call for Nature's Art. So
Yes.
it's so good to see you back on camera again. I'd like to start naturally, Julie. So welcome. I just want to give you a good welcome.
Well, thank you very much. I'm glad you're here.
Yes,
glad
ma'am.
to share my art.
Great. Well, Julie, it's been really a lot of fun here on Quilting Inside and Out. The last time you were here, you were already a gifted quilter, in my opinion, and excelling in fabric art, which viewers and I have enjoyed at the Call in Nature's Art I mentioned earlier, and at the Runs Conservation Center in Jeff City. Could you first share a little bit, Julie, with the viewers about Julie Rush and your life? I know you've got degrees in different areas. So, what you'd like to share?
Well, thank you. Sure, I would love to share. I'm a Missouri native, and I grew up here in Eldon. I went to high school here, and I took art classes all 4 years that I was in high school. And Mr. Richard Easton was my teacher. He was fabulous. And college, I went off to college at Kansas University, and I got both an art degree and a art education degree, both of those at Kansas University. And then after that, I taught art in a couple little schools in Kansas and in Missouri, in St. Joe, Missouri. And then I moved away to Arizona. And in Arizona, I worked and did traditional quilting in Arizona. And I ran into a book by a fiber artist, Lenny Weiner. Here's her book, by the way. Just put a little pitch in there. This book is called Photo Inspired Art Quilts. And the minute I saw it, I knew that's the direction I wanted my quilting to go into. And so that's what I did. And I moved back to Missouri after that. And lo and behold, through a Missouri quilting magazine, I saw that Lenny was going to teach a workshop in Missouri. And so I, just as quick as I could, signed up for her workshop. And I ended up taking 6 years of workshops with her. And then I taught some workshops. And that was kind of the beginning of my fiber quilting arts career. So, let's see, I've had my art in Paducah and at the International Quilt Festival.
That's in Paducah,
Houston.
Kentucky.
Paducah, Kentucky,
Yes,
right?
Uh-huh.
I've had my art in several shows by Sacred Threads, which is a great organization.
Yes, uh-huh.
I've had a solo show at Evangel University in Springfield, and then I was in another show at Evangel University with a group of artists. And of course I've had my art at Runge Nature Center here in Jeff City, Jefferson City, I should say.
Yes, it's short for Jeff.
Yeah. And anyway, my favorite place of all that I have shown my artwork was at Evangel, and it was quite an honor to be asked to have a solo show there. So that's kind of it in a nutshell.
So you've covered different locations, Julie. You've received numerous awards over these years. So would you like to kind of cover that? Some of your acclimates, I guess we could call them.
I have won some awards in smaller groupings, smaller shows. One is for a quilt called Fallen, which is a veteran's type of quilt. And I won a first place award at a Rooster Creek quilt show. That was quite a few years ago.
Well, I want to bring up that you do share the stage with a young lady that is named Jackie Berry.
Yes, I met her at this quilt show from Lenny when she was teaching a workshop, not a show, a workshop. Yeah, and I met her the first one that I went to, and then I think she was there for a second and maybe a third.
Oh, I see.
So, yeah.
Well represented. She has been to China a couple of times representing. That was after one of the first shows, like your interview, number one. Jackie Berry came back, did the show, and then soon she was offered these travels. Now, has your art taken you on any extensive traveling?
Not really.
Good. Well, you're kind of at
I do send it out to a lot of places.
Oh, well, great. So it is available. You can send it out for exhibit and also, I'm sure, for a sale, maybe?
Actually, yes. I have sold some pieces through Sacred Threads, actually.
Oh, super.
And
Yes.
so that's mostly, I do artwork for people who are friends or acquaintances. And they take really good photographs. Yes. And I ask them if I can use their photograph, and when I get done using it in my art, I send that piece off to them.
Excellent, excellent. Well, your favorite event, what would you say that would be? Was that one of those Sacred Heart, which is so renowned?
My favorite event was actually having a solo show at Evangel University.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
and now where's this?
It's just quite an honor to be asked to do that.
Yes, Evangel University, where's that located?
Oh, it's in Evangel University in Springfield.
Springfield. Okay, very good. Well, if I may ask, you became a quilter and inspired, but was there one person that you would like to bring up again or repeat that really inspired you? Is it going back to grandmother, mother?
Oh, well, all of my grandparents and some of my great-grandparents quilted. And I still have some of their quilts.
Oh, super.
My mom worked on a quilt with her mother and her grandmother, which I still have. It's a bed quilt.
I see.
And but my mother was not really very interested in quilting. She sewed garments, which is what she really liked to do, and knit.
And knit, huh?
I still have a sweater.
So you kind of picked it up from there and inspired yourself through different individuals that you've mentioned.
But how I got into art quilting was I was in Joann's in Arizona, and I saw one of Lenny Weiner's books that she's written about art quilting. And I picked it up off the shelf and said, that is what I want to do.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, so I still am in contact with her, and she is just an incredible art quilter.
Excellent.
And anyway.
Well, we're going to share some of these pieces that you've should we say, created. That's a good word. And also, we're going to talk about how those come about. Well, we must take a break, Julie, so please stay with me. After the break, Julie shares with you how much, how she begins and finishes the final process of making a fabric art piece. So there's much more here on Quilting Inside and Out. Stay tuned. Thank you. Welcome back to Quilting Inside and Out. I'm your host, Rick J. And if you would, please join me once again with Julie Rush, a quilt art, or should we say art quilt expert, creator. So, Julie, in the first part of the show, we introduce you to the world, basically. You're on GMN TV and YouTube. So I'd like to talk about how a project begins and how you reach the ultimate finish. And I will tour your home here and see some of that great art. So
Okay.
okay. Well, Julie, do you have a favorite subject matter that you use in your fabric art? And do you have a favorite pattern of choice when making a piece of art?
I end up doing a lot of people and animals, not so much landscapes, although I have done a few. I make the patterns off of photographs or from photographs. So generally, I mean, I've taken some workshops that I made the artwork from what the workshop was about. But mainly I make my own patterns up.
Creative from the beginning. Now we have a young lady up here on the wall. Can you tell her little about that one?
Yes, that is from a 1800s painting. It's his sister that he painted, and I just loved the painting. And so I actually asked for permission from the museum that it's hanging in. He's long passed away. And they said, you don't need permission because it's open to the public. And so anyway, I used his artwork, his painting, and made my own young girl sewing.
Well, now next I have to, does your art start with a photo or a drawing? I see you over your shoulder again looks like a drawing right by the clock there.
Oh.
So is that kind of sort of where you start?
It is a place to start, and oftentimes I do things like that. That was from a photo that my husband took of me, and I've actually used it to do some self-portraits in different kinds of different ways of doing self-portraits. That is just from his photograph, and I went into a application in which you can basically mess with the photograph. I recolored it and got that.
Well,
developed that.
Oh, super. And we're going to cover a lot more here on the table. We have a good layout. But, well, Julie, what impressed me about your work in the very beginning 7 years ago or before was that everything seems to be to scale. and layout for depth perception. You capture that like I would with a brush, trying to get that depth and perception. How do you accomplish these tasks, for example?
Well, that's a good question. Basically, you're painting with fabric, and so what you do is you look at. I'm just going to hold something up here real quick. These are two photographs, and we're going to look at this on my table in just a minute. But one of them is in color, and one of them is in black and white, and I get the values for my fabric from black and white, and then the hue or color from the color photographs. So to show shadows or deep versus close, you do it just as you would with a painting, mainly with value, going from darks to lights, and then with the color of the fabric.
Well, you know, when I first was approached by Jackie Berry and others at a quilt show up in Columbia, Missouri, and when I first saw that the art quilting or fabric art was basically artwork, same as I would produce with a brush, what
Right.
have you. So they had started asking me at this quilt show, well, Rick, why don't you do a show on art? These quilts, do art, show on quilts. So, because they are art. So I agreed 100%, and I got a hold of Rooster Creek, Mike. We talked it over, and that's basically how the show began. Well, that just makes sense, just like you would use a brush for a landscape or a portrait. You have to set your values and colors and form, what have you. Do you use applique in your quilts or art fabric? And if so, do you like the raw edge style or the traditional turned under style?
I don't do turned under. I use raw edge applique.
I
That's
see.
pretty much all I use is raw edge.
Uh-huh. Okay, very good. So you do use some applique effects
Well,
sometimes?
everything I've done is raw edge applique.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
now can you explain that raw edge? And
Oh, yeah, sure. Right. Instead of sewing two pieces of fabric together and having a seam and pushing it out, what you do is you cut shapes out. They're not sewn together until later when you have to sew some things down to keep it all attached.
I see.
Even if I use fusibles, which are it's kind of like a little glue that you apply to a chunk of fabric, and then you can cut out shapes and take the backing off, and it's sticky on the back. So, and then you apply heat, and it sticks.
I see.
Whatever you put it on then. But sometimes I just use sewing, just sew things down. It kind of just depends on what the effect is I want.
Oh, I see. To create a seam?
No seams.
Oh, okay.
No seams.
Okay,
Yeah,
we'll
just
see
all-
that.
Just all piling up fabric on top of fabric.
Okay.
Cut in various shapes to
Right.
capture shadows or highlights or
Yes.
faces.
So we'll see
those
some of
things.
this in your
Right.
artwork here in a
But
few
it's all raw
moments.
edge.
Well, Julie, in your mind, what finally completes then a project?
Well, just like a painter, you paint it with fabric until you go, oh, I think I'm done.
Yes, good answer.
With fabric, though, unlike painting with oils or watercolors, you're on a sheet of paper or on a canvas. With raw edge applique, you still have some finishing things to do,
Right.
like edge finishes, binding, things like that,
Yes.
and hanging. a method of hanging.
Well, now, laid out here on the table, we sort of can take you through the beginning. I see to your right is some drawings, and over here we have pieces. Would you like to kind of cover it as I run the camera?
Okay.
So you've got drawings.
Well, let's take a look, first of all, at what I'm doing here. I'm taking a photograph. So there's the photograph I'm working from, a friend's kids. And I transfer a line drawing to a base. In this case, it's just a piece of muslin. So this has all been drawn out. The hats, the bodies, in some fashion. It doesn't have to be a finished thing at all. It's more like, let's sketch this out kind of deal. Then I start developing the pattern. Like the pattern for this hat has values. It has light and dark areas. And basically it's a gray hat and it has a band on it. So I just start cutting out shapes that I draw off of here, and I draw them onto a paper that has, let's see, what is this called? Can't remember. Parchment paper.
Parchment paper, okay.
Then I take that and I attach it to a piece of fabric that has a fusible backing on it. So I would lay a little, like I'm doing little patterns right now. So I would lay that on whatever fabric I want it to be on. I'd iron this down, and then I would, oh, it's freezer paper, not parchment paper, freezer paper. I would iron, give this a little bit of an iron, it'd stick, and then I cut that shape out, and then I would lay it where I want it to be on the artwork. I'm talking about the piece of fabric now that's in this shape. And then I would iron that down and it would stick. Now, ironing something down that has fusible on the back of it still will not last forever and ever. So generally I sew around most of these parts to make sure that that's just functionally sewing down pieces of fabric. It's not quilting it. Rick, before we go, I'd like to explain something that my husband and I make for art quilters and traditional quilters they're just great products for this kind of work. And this is a table that is made out of an old desk, actually. And it has a cutting board on it. So that's good for traditional quilting and it's good for art quilting. And it lights up with a light table, a nice big light box for tracing items. You can even trace for embroidery kinds of things. Anyway, we make these tables out of desks. Our company is called Quilting Jewels. And I'll walk over here to show you another item that we make. Are ironing stations with lots of storage in them. And I do a lot of fusibles these days. And so this is one of the fusibles with the hat that you saw in the project on the desk, on the table. So anyway, this is very good for ironing out your pieces when you use fusibles. And of course it's good for ironing anything traditional also. All quilt parts, pieces, whatever. Anyway, those are a couple of things that we make and love to talk to you about them. Hi Rick, I'd like to show you a few of my quilts that I've worked. Well, I'll just start off with one of them. It's called Fallen, and it's been in a couple of shows, and it's actually one of my favorite quilts. It definitely evokes an emotion. And it was to really give credit to the men and women of our military who have lost people during their service. So anyway, I named this Fallen, and it's one of my favorites.
Super.
Here is one of my self-portraits that I worked on. I haven't ever finished it out as far as making it a quilt, but I learned a lot from doing self-portraits. So here's one, and here's another one that I did. And this, my husband took this picture, and I kind of really love it because of the hat. The next thing I'd like to show is my kitty cat. And so I love doing animals. This is one of the animals that I've done. I love doing their eyes, actually, and making those eyes come alive. So that's my kitty cat. And then, of course, this is the one that was in, whoops. This is one that was in the Runge Nature Center.
Call for Nature's Art.
Call for Nature's Art, right. That I did for this just passed Call for Nature's Art show. And the thing I like about this is I did a lot of sewing with specialty threads, shiny threads, and I actually put 2 or 3 layers of batting in there so that it actually has a dimensional quality to it. It probably doesn't show up very well in a camera, but it actually pops. So there's Cicada from Brood 19. And this is, I made it, this piece, it does have a little bit of quilting in it, but I made it for a challenge. It's all jeans, made from jean fabric, and it's my blue jean. Just note that I come from a quilting family, and although my mother didn't really like to quilt, my grandmothers and my great-grandmothers loved to quilt. And this is a wedding ring quilt, one of 3 that a great-grandmother made. She made 3 of them, one for each, myself and my 2 brothers. And anyway, that's a wedding ring quilt, and it was probably made in the 1940s. And all these fabrics are from her stash. So I have several of her quilts, and I just love them. I cherish them, really.
Well, Julie, on behalf of Quilting Inside and Out and me, I would want to thank you once again for being my guest and for the very informative and instructional content that you've offered. Would you please give your contact information if a viewer would like to ask you a couple questions or possibly be interested in asking you to prepare a commission piece for them?
Okay, my email is ozark.quilter.gal@gmail.com.
Super.
And that's the best way to get hold of me.
Right, great. Well, I want to thank you once again for being my guest and the informative content that you've offered. And now the scoop on the world of quilting. Please keep in mind that we are running a Quilting Inside and Out once again, not naturally on YouTube, but now on the GMNTV+.com streaming network that I've invested in. So we're going to worldwide. Julie doesn't have to make that travel to China or where have you. So I want to keep that in mind. I'll give you the link and everything. So thank you, viewers, for joining Julie and I here on Quilting Inside and Out. Catch Quilting Inside and Out, remember, on Global Media TV Plus and YouTube. Look for more Quilting Inside and Out, and where you get the scoop on the world of quilting. I'm Rick J. saying, stay safe and healthy. Catch you next time.
How you doing there, family? And welcome to Golden Bricks Publishing, a new global media network TV plus streaming platform, offering a global presence to film, TV creators, documentary makers, music artists, podcasters, radio hosts, and more. To let your work be seen, contact Jeff at Global Bricks Publishing, because here at GMN, we're building stories brick by brick. Brick by brick, building stories brick by brick.